Mike Randall of FTN Network here on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Contenders in the Big 12. We know about Houston. We know they're right there. We've seen the history, the dynasty, the prowess across college basketball of a Kansas. Iowa State's defense is good. But looking a little bit deeper, Mike, who are the teams that you think are built for March in this league?
Teams that are built for March. We talked about Houston. That's fine. Iowa State, I think, is fantastic because I like styles. You know, I was out there telling people that Virginia was going to at least make the Final Four the year after they went out in the first round. Why? They have a unique style. Why is Houston so good? Because they're relentless on defense and you cannot simulate it. Why have teams like Kentucky and Louisville made run? Because they have a unique style. So Iowa State has it. They just have to be able to score, but their defense cannot be simulated. Baylor is certainly solid. I don't see Texas Tech making a run. Grant McCasland doing an incredible job. I just doubt their staying power. But if you look in the Big 12 tournament, Kansas is lurking. How about a month ago, everybody thought Kansas was going to be one of the top 4 seeds. As long as Kevin McCullough is healthy, I don't care about the depth problems. Kansas has proved they can win without depth problems before. They're fine as long as he is fully healthy with Hunter Dickinson in the middle. Texas, of course, is a wild card. TCU, Oklahoma, but I still think BYU can be an absolute problem. They are the 5 seed here in the tournament, and they can definitely play Houston. That would be a great game on a neutral site against Houston because, again, it's contrast in styles. 3-point shooting, solid fundamentals. You saw BYU at Kansas. I think it can happen again.
Mike, TCU in Cincinnati and even in Kansas State. I'm not sure the Bearcats, the Wildcats will make it into March, but if they do, are they dangerous? And if you're a TCU or a Texas or an Oklahoma at the back end, are they dangerous?
Yeah, some of those teams are, but they're going to have to make it in. That's the key. If you look at Cincinnati, what I do like about them is they're relentless on the boards, which is why they were able to keep that Houston game close, 67-62, and then play them away. Besides Iowa State, Cincinnati actually played Houston the best. The problem is they don't make their free throws and they can't make three-pointers. They remind me a lot of a Texas A&M team that needs to get hot. Now, if they can get some scoring and get some like a UConn years ago with Kemba Walker in the Big East tournament, you can get one player like a Wade Taylor with Texas A&M who can get hot. They can absolutely get carried because they're solid. The other back-end teams, tough for me to say. I like Jamie Dixon and TCU, and they're great in transition. You've seen success in the tournament when they played Arizona a few years ago. Almost were able to, I think they were able to knock them off. It was really close. They shoot 38% from three-point range. So what I'm looking for, Drake, are teams that have a style and have high variance. You can see in the Sun Belt right now, Arkansas State now in the finals. Why? They shoot the three well. Their head coach, Brian Hodgson, is a disciple of Nate Oates at Alabama. So I have no problem with a TCU. Physical team, battle-tested, can get hot from three. That's what you're hoping for with one of these teams that makes a run, Cincinnati included, but they have to get hot on offense.
Before we talk the pretenders of this conference, I want to go back to something you said about Kansas and that starting 5. Even with Hunter Dickinson battling some injury issues and Kevin McCullough as well, to me, Mike, I have shifted from, hey, we need a ton of depth to, look, it's 5 guys on the court at once. St. Peter's did not upset Kentucky with depth. They did it with a starting 5 that played 38 minutes.
Yes.
How much should we value starting 5s in March when I just need you to win 2 games in 1 weekend?
Oh, 100%. It should matter. The depth is overrated because you know that bench gets tighter. Bill Self, to me, is the best coach in college basketball. What he's done every single year, produced different styles. You saw the team was banged up. They were still able to beat Kentucky a few years ago. He did an inverted triangle in 2. That is the type of team that can get rolling here. You have a point guard, which is critical for these upsets. You see the small school teams with a super quick point guard. They have a chance. They have everything that you need. DeJuan Harris is fantastic. Reminds me a lot of Monte Morris, the former Iowa State Cyclone point guard. A lot of assists, not a lot of turnovers. Dickinson, of course, the big man inside. The issue is the shooting, which is why McCullough is so important. I think depth is overrated. You have a solid starting 5 and one guy off the bench. That should be good enough, especially with a coach like Bill Self, who coaches defense without fouling.
The 8th player down the line for Fairleigh Dickinson is not the reason they beat Purdue, and I'll say that until I'm blue in the face. Mike, pretenders in this conference, we have talked about a couple of those teams in that middle realm, but not as much about an Oklahoma or a Texas who look like they'll make it to March, or even a BYU who has had some strong games over the course of the regular season. Who to you isn't cut out for this whole tournament thing, but has still had a pretty good year in conference play?
Yeah, I'm not buying Texas. I'm not. Rodney Terry did an incredible job last year. Magic ride, much like Hubert Davis's magic ride. But it needs to be an adjustment period. Even John Shire at Duke went through a little bit of that last year. They got blitzed by Tennessee. I think Rodney Terry's struggled with consistency, which is normal. They're still 20-11. They're 9-9. I do not think they can string together enough games to make a run here in the NCAA tournament. Again, I like Grant McCaslin and Texas Tech. Solid defense, 3 wins in a row. I have questions about them, whether they can move forward because their rebounding is weak. They're great on positional defense. They do shoot the 3 well, but I just struggle to see Texas Tech continue to put multiple games together. And the last one may surprise you. I'm just not ready to jump in on Baylor yet. I'm really not. They've been solid. They've had some good wins over Texas, Kansas, and TCU, but still the defensive numbers are not there. The rebounding is just okay this year. I don't see Baylor as a Final Four team. If you ask me who could make a Final Four run in the Big 12, Houston, no doubt. Iowa State, no doubt. Kansas certainly can make a run. I struggle to see Scott Drew there, as great a coach as he is, because his team has been a little inconsistent with the production, particularly from the freshmen.
Yep, exactly. For a freshman-led team, and then a Ray J. Dennis who has some great nights and other times. He reminds me a bit of Tyler Perry at Kansas State, the guy who could put up 25, but in the last 3 minutes, if he goes dormant, that 25 doesn't tell the true story of how he led you down the stretch. Let's go into the Big 12 tournament, how different teams should attack or approach their time in Kansas City, right here on Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is where I go to make money. This last week, it's like, rent's coming up. Great. FanDuel exists. I go in and I bet on a BYU at home to win. And that is guaranteed in college basketball at this point. The Marriott Center is unreal. And FanDuel said, hey, since you won that bet, you get money. FanDuel.com/locked on right now. Any $5 bet on a money line for your favorite team that wins, you get $150 back in bonus bets. That is huge as March Madness comes up. There's same game parlays. You've got prop bets on college basketball players. With that 12 seed you like over the 5 seed, go to FanDuel. Throw $10, $20, as many bucks as you want on it, and see the return instantly on the FanDuel app. FanDuel.com/locked on, the official sportsbook sponsor of the NBA.